Hello, hibiscus. Welcome to my show where we discuss incredibly important matters such as politics, global warming, human rights violations, social justice issues, and let me just scour my brain. Oh, that's right, Saturn Retrograde. And can you believe it? At least one of those things can still somehow manage to shock us. Also, side note, don't you find it fascinating how freakishly good colonizer-free astrology is at predicting global turmoil? And do you pay attention to how we always encourage and warn you that, look, when stuff is going down, even if it doesn't directly impact you, it is of the utmost importance that you educate, you advocate, and you make a difference. Because whilst it may not directly impact you, it does impact your karmas. So the same way you choose to act legally blind to other people's suffering, the universe will choose to act legally blind when it comes to yours. Think about the correlation between your failure to stand up and be on the right side of history in regards to, I don't know, you failed talking stages, unhappiness in your relationships, instability in your finances, almost like a lingering cloud is always with you. That's your karmas. You can never, ever shortcut them. You will always have to pay for them and address them. And that will be particularly potent, as I have told you for a very long time, in 2024, which is a Saturn ruled year. And that is the reason this particular Saturn retrograde, whilst yes it happens annually, it is French blue cheese funky as hell this year. Look, this episode is not going to be filled with Starbucks spirituality jargon. There is no conversation to be had about, oh, I think your ex-talking stage is about to reach out to you, or oh my god, make sure you avoid Capricorns. None of that. What we are about to do is have a passionate conversation about this astrological event, because the universe is about to hit refresh on those karmic debts you've been holding on to for far too long. But the caveat is, it will make you address and pay that invoice that it's been chasing you for too long too. So you know the routine. Grab a cup of cha, get comfortable. Let's talk about this Saturn retrograde that will end mid-November 2024. Look, Saturn retrograde is not about some cosmic boogeyman coming all up into your space, underneath your bed in the middle of the night, have you pissing your pants out here. It is not that vibe at all, and don't let anyone scare you. Think of it like this. Saturn, or Shani as we call him in Vedic Astrology, is a fair but tough, loving football coach. Alright? This is a type of deity that will do the following. You know, when you're training for that big game, he gonna make you run those laps so you understand how to have endurance for the journey, right? He's going to give you those finicky little exercises where it seems pointless, but what you don't understand is that one little motion that he's going to make you do 100 times, where it's going to give you something in the future where you're like, oh damn, turns out I know how to problem solve this. I know how to get past that challenge and obstacle. I'm agile. I'm built for this, right? And Saturn is the same coach that is going to get on you for the lifestyle that you're living, the food that you're consuming, everything you take in, because to Shani, you are a cosmic sponge, and what you choose to consume, the lifestyle you choose to live, even outside of training for that big game, what it all contributes, right? And right now, astrologically, and for you that have been following me for a few years, I said, look, from 2021 until 2025, we are astrologically in a period of rebirth. And we at that final push, baby. And now you are coming up to play in that big game where your crush, your parents, your peers are all at. Now that only sounds scary if you've been slacking in training. Or if you've been acting like you're the perfect student, you be following all of Coach Shani's tips, and then when you go against real players who are about that work, that have that integrity and discipline, well, all of a sudden your performance on the pitch is showing all those little sins that you committed behind closed doors. That's the power of this Saturn retrograde. Almost, I don't know, this is probably showing my age, but I love Mean Girls. Think of it like this. Everyone, to a certain extent, is going to go through their own Regina George moment. So do you remember when Lindsay Lohan's character was feeding her those protein bars and she thought it was for weight loss, but turns out they're for malnourished people and they make you gain the thickums gains. In fact, let me insert the clip so you understand the vibes that we're talking about.
The kids in Africa to help them gain weight. They're these weird nutrition bars my mom uses to lose weight. Give me it.
It's all in like Swedish or something.
Yeah, you know, there's some weird ingredient in them that's not legal in the US yet.
Ephedrine?
Why are you eating a Caltine bar?
I'm starving.
Man, I hate those things. Coach Carr makes us eat those when we want to move up a weight class.
What?
They make you gain weight like crazy.
Mother...
When Saturn is direct, it is training you in real time on how to overcome challenges and obstacles. Now, you may not be conscious of this, but day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, when Saturn is in its direct motion, it is teaching you how to carry that weight. And it's not that things get heavier, but you get stronger. And what Saturn does is very sneakily, I mean, depending on your karmas, just increases the weight a little by little and little. And initially you feel some resistance, but at some point it becomes normal and you become a beast, right? If you think about your attributes now versus a year ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, how much have you changed? And for most of you, you have gotten stronger, but it wasn't because of one catalyst event. Over time, you got used to certain challenges, you got used to certain norms and structures, and you learned how to play better. That is the power in Saturn. However, when Saturn goes retrograde, Coach goes, okay, everyone, let's take 5 minutes. Let's recess our game plan. Are we doing well in the first quarter, the first half? Could we be doing this stuff differently? And again, the reason this retrograde feels funkier is because we are in a period of rebirth and we are in the final part of that rebirth phase, right? When Rahu enters and goes through all 9 types of Aquarius, baby, you out of the new karmic womb. You are learning to crawl and walk and you are on the path that you are meant to be for the next 18 years ahead. So if I could get you to think of it this way, right? Imagine we are a cosmic sitcom. We've done 18 seasons. We've had some fun storylines. We've had some drama. We've had some comedy. We've had some romance. Maybe for some of you, some psychological thrillers. I don't know what you get up to and who you entertain, but it'd be like that, right? Your sitcom is now coming to a close. We are in the finale. And now we are about to work out if our main character, I'm looking at you, Hibiscus, well, what is your ending? How did your character develop over those 18 seasons? Have you developed? Saturn is essentially HBO and is getting ready to write a super juicy ending for each and every one of us. And for each and every one of us, it will be juicy. Now, it will be particularly juicy for the following placements. So, for Capricorn moons, Aquarius moons, and Pisces moons, you are all going through your 7.5 year Saturn return. So this Saturn retrograde will pack a extra sucker punch. And those people who naturally have Saturn placed in any Aquarius nakshatra, you're feeling it a little bit more, feeling that burn, baby. Think of it like this, hibiscuses. Many of you are that main character where every episode, every season, you have a problem, you have a challenge, you have some oopsie daisy moments. And in those moments of time, you use the best of your talents and skills, the perception and outlook you have to resolve them, right? And through those trials and tribulations, no matter how small or big, your character has grown. We are now approaching the finale. Well, guess what? You've grown, you've developed, you've changed, you've learned different dynamics, you know yourself in a much more intense and interesting way. Well, perhaps this is the finale where you get that dream job offer. Maybe this is when you get the chance to relocate to that city that you always thought was so cool. So it's not inherently scary at all. But one thing I always try and teach you when it comes to Vedic astrology is your karmas. You will always be paid out based on your behaviors, your actions, your intentions, your conversations. So for many of you, yeah, maybe your summer's feeling a bit rocky, but trust and believe your finale is being written and you're going to be given that spin-off or that new show which is adequate for the character development you have shown in these previous seasons. Now on the other side of that, for you funky ones, right? Because again, you've got to take the good with the bad. They're one and the same. Ikon on guard. Perhaps you have embodied more of that naughty character, right? We all know them in sitcoms and our favorite TV shows. That Nepo baby with the really rich, privileged parents who moves mad in these streets. Or that big bully who constantly has made a reputation of frightening people and doesn't fear ramifications, repercussions. Well, your finale could look like this. Whilst you may have benefited from your parents' riches, well, they could lose their fortune. And then you have to learn how to build a fortune. And you are humbled and you begin to embody the same things that you used to mock other people for. You have to face those circumstances. And yeah, if you have been a big bully, perhaps this is a season where that facade is cracked. We work out actually the reason you were being so mean, the reason you were being so discriminatory, so aggressive, so hateful, so shady, is because actually you're deeply insecure. All I'm trying to say is Shani has all of our receipts in 4K and Shani is getting to write an explosive finale that will play out by mid-November 2024. So for each of us, and particularly beginning from September to mid-November will be the most turbulent times in our lives. A lot of your norms are going to change. A lot of your relationships are going to go through quick endings and quick introductions. But what I'm trying to let you know is embrace those changes. Things are ramping up because we are concluding. We are being put on the path that we are about to live out for many decades. And just know, whatever happens, you deserve it. Now, if you don't feel like you deserve it, I would really encourage you to think about what you've been on. How have you been? Because you will deserve it. Whether you like it or not is a different conversation. In fact, let me walk you through a quick little montage of the Instagram horoscope that I read for Saturn Retrograde. And also, why are you not following me on Instagram? Why are you not following me on Patreon? Why are you not enjoying my TikTok platform? Come on, hibiscuses. Everything you're going through now, I was already discussing ages ago. And you would have known that if you've been showing me love on other platforms. But alas, hibiscus, you chose to be in other people's gardens and not mine. And were you flourishing? I don't think so. I think the Moslem has knocked you the fuck out. But anyway, let me walk you through these two slides. Insert some cute editing. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. Ta-da! Here's the deal, hibiscuses. Saturn retrogrades are not about you bulk buying crystals that also don't match your star sign, so therefore you invite all the wrong energy in and or loop-de-loop. But it's not about you taking those crystals, creating a protective circle to keep the vampires out. Nor is it about you abusing tarot readers, hoping they deliver a message that makes you feel like you're going to get out facing the consequences of your actions and behaviors. And nor is it about you putting your head in the sand or hiding under a bed. It is a time of clarity and consequences. Shani's coming in to give you a full detailed performance review. And the thing I want to emphasize, because we can look at this from two different angles. For most of you, and this is what I think it will be, because no, I do not think most of you are horrible people, been up on some bullshit kind of thing, right? Saturn retrograde has the power to do this. Number one, for all that work you put in, and you were never rewarded, other people got the credit, your flowers were not given, it's in this retrograde, you are given everything you deserve, right? But it doesn't even have to come in a conventional form. It could come through you getting an opportunity in a completely different industry or sector, and voila, you shine. It could come from a project you did way back in the past, and all of a sudden people are crazed over it. It could even be stuff like there was someone that you really liked and whatever, in the moment in time, it was not good for you guys to break bread, so life does its thing. But now you're both freed up and you're in different circumstances. So maybe this is the right time to collaborate, get together and build whatever you wanted. And also, it's a wonderful time because Saturn deals a lot with understanding the world in a new way. Old perceptions ending. In these months that Saturn's retrograde, because remember what I said, it's about taking 5, you can reconfigure stuff and review and assess and see stuff in a different light that gives you a breakthrough. That doesn't sound too bad, does it? But on the other hand, for you funky blue cheese crew, the creme de la cremes, obviously, of rotten spiritual scabs, yeah, this is the time where maybe if you're doing stuff under the radar, and you think you're going to be clocked, all of a sudden Saturn's at your court hearing like, I actually have CCTV footage in 4K of this person doing A, B, and C. Clocked, right? If it's been you doing a madness on people and always been like, but no one's ever going to do me that filthy, or like, oh, like, it returns to you. If it's been you taking advantage of people, it returns to you. Clarity and consequences is the theme of this Saturn retrograde, and it hits deeper because what we are really looking at is the 18 years gone for most of us. Now, based on different charts, your karmas could be being collected for different moments in time, yada, yada, yada. But for everybody, the last 18 years that you've been living, Saturn got an answer for your ass. And and it's not about to get out your face. It's really not. And even if you don't want to acknowledge it, or you think somehow, some way you can bamboozle yourself out of it, it's not the season. Like, everyone's lives are due to be disrupted. But the difference is, for the people who really have been putting in the work, they are grounded, the perception is clear and healthy, and not sick with Starbucks spirituality. That disruption is good. You will be thankful. It will be helpful. Maybe a little bit inconvenient for sure, but chef's kiss. For the rest of you, I don't know what to say. Shouldn't be such a douchebag, huh? Can't escape your karmas. Can't escape your motherfucking karmas. Ultimately, one thing we will all collectively feel is when Shani is giving us that energy that, look, hibiscus, it is time to detox, both internally and externally. Think about the wider transits that are playing out. So if any of you are new around here or outside of my Patreon community, one thing I teach a lot about is the big 4. So Rahu, Ketu, Jupiter and Saturn. Wherever they are placed, that is the ultimate goal during these time periods. And all the other planets, well, they represent actions you should take to meet and fulfill that goal. So let's do a recap, right? So Rahu, the planet of destiny, the divine plan being unfurled, radical change being provoked, right? It's currently going through all 9 types of Pisces, which talk about the ending of a journey and protection for a long journey ahead. And initially it talks about taking the wrong steps, reconfiguring, but ultimately ending up in a much more beautiful place. Then you have Ketu, right? Scary little Ketu. So Ketu represents unpaid karmic debts. Both Rahu and Ketu capture themes of individual destinies that you will all feel at this time. And Ketu deals with this idea of detachment, widening our horizon, being freed from a lot of manipulative or stuff that like confuses us and is not good for us. Well, it's going through all 9 types of Virgo. The 9 types of Virgo talk about moving away from systems and structures that don't serve us. It talks about being freed from manipulative people, propaganda not working the way it used to. So if you look in terms of karmas, you're talking about reflecting on the life that you have lived, understanding fundamentally what was not good for you and what was not serving you, and then picking a path that is better, healthier, stabler for you. Nothing wrong with that. And that journey will look very different for all of you, but the one thing you will share in common is new beginnings. But you got to wrap it up. And one thing I try to teach about, because I think it's always really interesting when people go through what they think should be auspicious transits for them, but they fail to acknowledge what they were doing the years previously. So a big thing in Vedic astrology is everyone has like an individual planet pattern where a certain planet will rule your life for decades, years at a time. When people go from a negative planet into a more positive planet, but then the first 2 or 3 years are like, nothing good is happening, I thought this energy was meant to be better. The thing I always try and tell them is, look, if you didn't learn your lessons for what that planetary transit was trying to teach you, those lessons go into this transit and they will be expanded, they will be harder, they will have their own funkiness. Keep that in mind because that's very applicable to you. So that's why I'm saying to a lot of you, don't resist it. Stand up, be accountable, be introspective, be honest. Let's wrap this shit up. Let's put on our best performance. It's a Saturn ruled year. Shani is watching. Dance for your lives. So like, perform, baby, perform. Let Saturn know why you should make it to the next round. And then we have Jupiter going through the 9 types of Taurus. So I posted 2 really long YouTube videos about this. You should watch them here. But basically, to summarize, when Jupiter went through all 9 types of Taurus, it's about being paid out on your ethics. The vibes making sense now. That's the general energy that is leading us. So then when you talk about Saturn going retrograde through the 9 types of Aquarius, you're talking about healing wounds that have been open for too long or inadequately cared for, so healing could not be placed. That's a hell of an energy. But ultimately, it's healing, it's freeing, it's innovational, and it can bring a lot of good. Just depends on what you've been up to and how accountable you are for stepping up in the moment, or even being open to getting the help. So one thing, and I talked about this years back when Saturn originally started going through the 9 types of Aquarius, that I said, look, people's health and well-being is really about to come into the spotlight because all 9 types of Aquarius did a lot with mental health issues, a lot around like addictive behaviors and the more like, I would say, uncomfortable stuff when it comes to well-being, right? A lot of self-inflicted issues. So as that Saturn goes retrograde for its final time in Aquarius for a very, very long time, for people who struggle with that, you're being shown in very vivacious ways. If you don't get a grip of this or learn to address this or even admit you have a problem, whatever comes ahead is not going to be pretty. Pay attention. Step up into the moment. There's no need to be scared. It's okay to be vulnerable, but be open to the help. Pay attention to the experiences you're having, the knowledge you're learning, the things that are coming to your table at this time. It's all destined. You are built to learn stuff and handle the truth and go through what you do because God knows in that moment you can do, and there's never been a better version of you to do so, but you still have free will. So if you put your head in the sand, you avoid it, you do all that nonsense, yeah, it's gonna be a couple of tough decades ahead, but you control that. That's not fate, that's a you decision. It's basically the universe's way of saying, you see all of this? That's all you. This is a consequence of your actions, your behaviors, your mindset, your ethics, your perceptions. Oh my god, there's a scene from The Office UK that really comes to mind. Let me insert it here because same vibe, literally same vibe.
Trying to visit my life had turned out exactly as unexpected. My old school just recently had a school reunion, which I didn't go to. But one girl in my class, it turns out, right, that she's now running her own internet auction website, making a fortune, and is happily married to a marine biologist. She used to eat chalk.
Okay, well, that's about it from yours truly. Thanks for taking all I had to throw at you. I'm spent.
But the good news is, and I want you to keep this at the forefront of your mind as we go through these crazy months ahead, Saturn isn't just solely here to point out where you've gone wrong. It's here to help you get back on track. It's here to give you courage, discipline, the truth, knowledge, intellect, everything you need to win. You just have to be willing to commit to the path. It's kind of like your Rocky Balboa moment. Did I say boba? Oh god, I have such a craving for boba tea. My periods do. I really am sidetracked. But in fact, I think I have like the perfect movie clip that could summarize the point I'm trying to make. Hit it!
You stop being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that and that ain't you. You're better than that.
Ultimately, the message is clear and applicable to everybody. So whilst this is a very destined time because it's a karmic accumulation point, you are going to get served up everything you've been putting in, for better or worse. But one thing that is applicable to all of us is go ahead with full force and nothing can touch you. With the biggest caveat, your ethics, your mindset, your behaviors, your intentions are all cool. That will help you. So embrace like your inner warrior, not your inner couch potato. Do you understand what I'm trying to say hibiscus is? Now, let's talk themes. Because what is a cosmic event without a few talking points? You know what I'm saying? I'm here to coach you. Let's get through it. So, number 1. Financial growth. Saturn's going to make you review your money habits like a tax auditor with a magnifying glass. So therefore, let's just say you're out here living a champagne lifestyle when all you have is Mountain Dew money, which again, in this economy is probably a lot because of inflation. Well, you trying to be out here with Monopoly money, Saturn's going to humble you. Right? And realistically, for many of you, away from kind of like the awooga scandalous side of it, this can be a great time to really work out what would be smart financial decisions for you, right? So let's look at investments, let's see our saving habits. Where do we need to give a little to make a lot? Where do we need to hold back? So financial responsibility will be a huge theme until mid-November of this year. The next one is consumption detox. So everything you consume, whether it's food, media, people if you're nasty, Saturn's putting it all under scrutiny. Essentially, it's the ultimate like health cleanse but for your soul. So one thing I always say to people, because I think, and particularly this Saturn retrograde, because people are being battered, accept the reality of relationships and not what you project onto them, right? And that looks different for different people, because sometimes we can be really insecure and negatively project onto people that don't wish us harm, and then we end up self-sabotaging. And Saturn's going to teach you the harsh way about your own insecurities. Or it can go the other way, where it's an admirable trait but probably not the most productive one, where you assume the best in people who don't have great intentions towards you. And then gotta remember, Saturn is super just, very kind, very loving. It would be not very Saturn-like to keep you in relationships that are full of illusions and hidden bad intentions. Overcoming greed is the third one. So listen, if you've been hoarding things that you don't serve you, whether it's material goods, grudges, all that kind of stuff, expect a cosmic intervention. So we can look at this a few ways, because Saturn does deal with this idea of like poor health. So yeah, number one, right, let's just get it out of the park. You cannot be out here being like, oh, I feel so crappy and I want to do this, and then look at the lifestyle you're living. The one thing I would be mindful of, you could have some nasty health scares at this time, because Saturn could go extreme in terms of trying to teach you about, if you don't change, I swear to God. The other aspect is, let's look at grudges, or just like that greed aspect. Well, when I say greed, I just kind of think it's like this mindless, stubborn attitude where like you won't let go of things, and it doesn't matter how much you consume, what you do, for some reason it doesn't satisfy you. You're never satiated. Here we go again with the mispronunciations. ADHD. But you get where I'm coming from, right? But either way, you're going to learn the power of balance, baby. The next one, honest view. So Saturn's dishing out some serious clarity, lies, theft, deception, real girly pop, nice stuff. They're all getting exposed quicker than like a politician's scandals on Twitter, or as we know it, X. Like I said, let's accept the reality of a situation. And just remember, whenever God reveals stuff to you, he knows in that moment that is the best version of you that can cope with that truth and that reality. So don't count yourself out, don't scream, don't hide away. Deal with the truth, right? Because in the truth you can build. In lies and illusion, at some point the smoke clears and you find out you're in your underwear and not couture. And then the last one is true liberation, right? This is about confronting oppression, whether it's from the outside world or that voice inside your head that tells you you're not good enough. Saturn's here to help you break free. So let's think about everything we've discussed so far. Let me just slide my laptop. Ironically, Saturn represents imprisonment and humiliation. So one of the things that came to mind when I was originally doing the Saturn horoscopes on Patreon ages ago was, I was like, oh, this is a time where people are gonna be like freed. But the issue is that some people have self-imposed imprisonment, right? The mental prison they build for themselves. So when they are confronted with conversation, experiences, situations, dynamics even, where those comforts, those attachments, whatever it is that makes you want to sit inside that pretty little cage that you built for yourself, that's probably really harrowing, and it's probably very intimidating and really scary. But during this Saturn retrograde, you're going to be shown that, look, it was you that put yourself here, so you also have the power to exit, right? And it's also going to show you the realities of like, look, like if you stay in this cage, no matter how pretty, even if you put yourself in it, humiliation is the only other thing on this journey. So let's get up, let's go, come on now. And then for other people, and I really do hope this is the case for many of you watching, fuck yeah, breakthroughs. I don't know how many of you have seen like Hollywood films, but this is a time where like that magical little prison visitor is going to come and they're going to slide you your little tour and you're going to break out free and elope to Mexico. What film is that? It's the one with Morgan Freeman. It's a good film, but that's what I'm thinking of. But yeah, this can be a time easily, right, where when people have put those glass ceilings on you, those people have tried to hide you away, like wrongly imprison you, like speak dirt on your name, you're breaking free. And obviously the wider context, and we'll save this for the Rahu video that will come next after this, but yeah, there will be a lot of people who perhaps were perceived as strong and mighty, but only because they were oppressing the alternatives, the people who are the magic makers, the ones who should have crowns on their heads. Makes for a hell of a time. But either way, collectively, it's a huge advancement towards liberation. So Saturn will kick down that door for you, but it's up to you if you want to walk through it. It can only provide. It's up to you what you want to do with the rest. Now, for the final part, let's explore the nakshatras that Saturn will be retrograding through. So, Purva Bhadrapada and Shatabhisha, essentially, they represent oddballs and underdogs. So I already love it, because by default, when Saturn goes retrograde, it's releasing the restrictions, the limitations, the illusions that keep these people oppressed and suppressed. I love it. Love it. But ultimately, it's a time of a journey from like low self-esteem to self-empowerment. And like I keep emphasizing, whilst yes, 70% of this is destiny because it's addressing the karmas you've built, that 30% of your free will, use it and use it well. You know, Purva Bhadrapada is ruled by a deity who is known for building the universe, doing so much good, being freakishly powerful, but the deity thinks inherently it's ugly, it's not that great. And it's that perception that holds it back, because the work it does is the work and it's phenomenal and no one can touch it. But until that deity works on its low self-esteem, for many of you, it talks about you will keep picking situations, places, all of that, because you don't think highly enough of yourself. Get up, come on now. And then you have Shatabhisha, 100 demons, 100 healers, ruled by Varuna, delivering karma. How interesting, right? Very spicy. So I think for me, what it looks like is, yeah, and you would have felt this, and you'll feel this a little bit more in early September, but then it will change. That the first part of the Saturn retrograde was ultimately gonna be about not feeling so good, feeling up against it, but then the tides change. You start wrapping up those wounds that made you unable to fight back. All of a sudden, and God is so good, because you guys forget, Vedic Astrology is a religious a religious exercise, but you know, we believe in God. God can kick down doors, God can do a madness and turn the tides in your favor. Please make sure you watch my podcast about the purpose of suffering. There's a reason I released it at the time that I did. Because even when you have been suffering and you feel like there's no light and you might as well give up, it's always in the 11th hour, God will show you that it wasn't for nothing. It all adds up to something, you know? And Shatabhisha was known for innovation. So things that we normalize and things that are praised, all of a sudden they break, and then the real game changers come. Come on, my hibiscuses, you know I love it. So essentially, this retrograde is a chance to shed those bad habits, those old karmas that have been taking up too much of your space and been holding you back longer than that ex that texts you at 2 a.m. to, well, are you up? Think of it like farming. You all know I'm a just Punjabi girl. Think of it like farming, right? Your life is a field. Saturn's the farmer who's just handed you a new plow and said, get to work. Now, how you tend those crops and look after your field, that's up to you. You have power over that. But your actions, your mindsets, the education you give yourself, the choices that you make, they will determine how abundant and sweet that harvest is. But you have control of it. Saturn's just reshifting what it needs to do based on what you put out there. You have control of how that garden blooms. And you also have the chance. My thing here is, whilst I appreciate Saturn retrogrades can add a couple of curveballs, some stuff that you weren't expecting, you do have power to pick up those tools and make a difference. And if you don't, I just want to say, like, if you can't rise to the moment, and everyone has their own personal timings, but like, if you refuse to acknowledge what Saturn retrograde shows you, you refuse to stand up, all of that kind of jazz, mark my words, you will produce such bitter fruits that not even insects, squirrels, or any pests would touch. Take this stuff seriously. Learn, grow, evolve, make your peace with the past, and when it comes to whatever new journey you are put on, go for it. Do it differently, be bold, get up there. We cannot cry about a lack of representation or a lack of advancement if we constantly conceal ourselves and hold ourselves back, or do the same stuff that makes sure that we can't even turn up to the location where the table is. Come on now, hibiscuses, you gotta have a little bit more fire in your belly to get through this. Anyways, the key message I wanted to deliver: Saturn retrograde is not here to mess you up, it's here to level you up. The things that transpire during this time are a reflection of you and everything you're on, everything you're about. If you don't like it, you have a sincere time to change it, but you will need courage, you will need discipline, and you will need self-awareness. And for the rest of you, you're good. You have put in the time and effort. Trust the opportunities that are coming your way. Start to show up. You have learned, you have grown, you have developed. Saturn's saying you've done your time. It's now time to show up and show out. Other than that, that was your little horoscope for Saturn retrograde. I hope that keeps you grounded. Sometimes you just need a pep talk. If you would like to know what lays ahead for you from October 2023 till May 2025, I have put up really long detailed horoscopes that are accessible on my Patreon page. Other than that, I'm gonna love and leave you, and I'll check on you next month. Bye, hibiscus!